New campaigns arrive for Sayl, Aislinn and Dechala. I'll give you the overview of how their mechanics work so that when you dive in, you'll have a little bit of a clue what the hell is going on. Let's start with the simplest of the bunch, Big Daddy Faithless. A caster lord of course, brings all the magic and powers the magic up a lot with his campaign effects, has his Nightmare ability to use and buffs up the new Kurgan Horseman Cav. Now, as a Norscan faction, he has the new reworked mechanics of the pillage system, the spoils, the monstrous arcanum. I got a video on that, I'll link it at the end if you don't know what that is. But he doesn't quite have the same allegiance system because he has his own version of it. You can still raise an altar when you take a settlement, like so, but you don't need to worry about dedicating it to a god, you just need to take it and protect it, because it's all about filling up his bar and getting along his narrative path. So he has this bar which you need to fill up by raising altars. Once you do that, you'll get army spawn, you'll have to defeat those, you'll get some buffs along the way as well, and access to different units and heroes. It's all about making your way to the Dark Ritual and eventually the final battle. So most of that narrative driven, not too dissimilar to the regular Norscan factions where you put your allegiance into a god and just get some rewards. And these are altars with benefits, so you can build on them and choose what you want to get out of them. Whether it's simply building defenses to protect it, being able to get chaos units, or maybe some income, you've got options. And then tying into that, you've got manipulations. 4 rows of different actions that you can take. The first 4 you'll have from the start, but the next ones have to be unlocked as you move through the tiers of the main bar. So once you complete the first one, you'll get access to the first tier. Complete the second bar, you get the second tier. And would you believe it, if you complete the third bar, you will get the third tier. So you select which one you want to do, whether it's helping you or hurting the enemy in some way. And you'll notice the little numbers on these, 1 to 3. What does that mean? Well, that's the little bar in the middle of all the manipulations there, which basically shows you how much you're pissing off the gods. So whenever you do these manipulation actions, you're going to fill up this bar, and once you hit the threshold, the gods are going to come for you in one way or another. So you've got to be careful with the amount you use them, or just be ready to deal with the consequences. I'll mouse over them all, pause the video if you want to read them. Some are really handy though, like being able to stop an enemy's movement range, or being able to complete a turn of recruitment, or being able to turn a unit of Chaos Marauders into a greater demon. So yeah, some pretty nice stuff in there for you to mess around with. I'll also mouse over Sayl's unique skills in a sec, so again, pause if you want to read them. So that's all of Sayl's campaign mechanics. Still a very Norscan campaign overall, but having those manipulations is going to be very powerful to use those in the right situations, similar to previous mechanics we've had in the game already, of course, like Karl Franz's electoral machinations, or the Tzeentch changer of ways bullshit. Speaking of bullshit, elves next. Sea Lord Aislinn to be precise. He of course comes with the big old dragon ship, so gonna be a power in the ocean. Most of his campaign mechanics are relating to water in some way. So he is all about those dragon ships, a floating fortress similar to the Dark Elves' Black Arcs. So it's essentially a horde kind of mechanic. You're your own self-sufficient settlement and army in one. You've got your own set of unique buildings which will require growth and a special currency to upgrade. So much like the Black Arcs, you'll have the big aura which any of your friendly armies can get supported in. You'll have abilities, bombardments and such that you can use to support any armies on land. These will be unlocked as you move through the unique building chains on the dragon ship. Now, when it comes to taking settlements, you'll have a couple of different options. So you can take a settlement in the normal way, but only a limited amount. You can establish a colony, but that's going to cost you one of your colony points, of which you don't get many. And as this is only a tier 3 settlement, we definitely don't want to do it here. So instead, what you'll do is establish an outpost. And when you do this, you have to give it to another High Elf faction. At the moment, we've only got the Knights of Caledor. You can unlock more as you progress through the campaign, but the settlement will essentially become theirs. It'll be theirs to worry about, theirs to manage, theirs to defend, but we will have our own little outpost there, which will give us some building options to acquire different buffs and currencies that are going to be useful to us. Although we can build a bit of a garrison building to help protect the settlement so that we are protecting our investment as well. But the main reason for these outposts is so that you can get Elven Trade, one of the most important currencies to this campaign. So that's one of a few ways to get your Elven Trade currency, but this is going to be the main one. This currency is largely used for upgrading your outpost buildings, but also trading for different currencies and other stuff as well. Now, when you come across a major settlement, this is where you'll want to establish your colonies, because it will just get you your typical old normal settlement where you can build all the things your heart desires. One building you want to make sure you build nice and early though is this maritime trading hall, because this is going to give you your biggest influx of dragon ship supplies. Although, as you can see, it's costing 100 Elven Trade per turn, so that's why we need that currency. And this, of course, is what we're going to use to upgrade our dragon ship. If you want to build anything on the dragon ship itself, you have to get a lot of those dragon ship supplies, so start gathering them as early as possible. Aislinn's dragon ship also has a unique stance, mist landing, which is basically his own little underway mechanic. From the water, you can get past impassable terrain, so could be very handy in the right spot. Okay, so we've covered a bit of colonies, we've covered elven trade, we've covered dragon ship supplies. Now to the dragon ships themselves. If you want more of them, and if you want to progress the story of the campaign, you need to get those 0 of 4s to 4 of 4. And to do that, we're going to need to get into the Asser domination mechanic, which requires this currency, dedication. This is gathered mostly just through your outpost buildings, pretty much all of them, so just build whatever you want and you'll be getting some dedication from that. And then gently caressing the Asser domination button, we get in here. Looking at the top part of this, first of all, we've got 3 different tabs: colony dedication, outpost dedication, and dragon ship dedication. This is where you're going to spend your dedication currencies on these little yellow bally boys at the side. These will offer you different buffs in different ways for the thing that they're dedicated to. So in this case, I can unlock an additional dragon ship from this one. And this is where you're going to buff up these 3 main aspects of the game. This is where you can unlock more elven colonies, so you can take more proper settlements. This is also where you're going to unlock a lot of your building chains. You may have noticed a lot of these are crossed out. For what reason? It's because you haven't unlocked them yet in the Asser domination. So you hit the little button and it'll show you which one you're going to need. This flashy boy here. So that's how you're going to unlock the full potential of these 3 different major aspects of the game. So if I buy this one here at the top, that's going to cost us 500 dedication, and it's put a little point down here in this bar, and this is what you need to fill up for those dragon ships. You remember that 0 of 4? Well, this is one of those 4 done, so you just need 4 in each one of these different tabs, although they go up to 6 if you want some extra bonuses. But as you can see here, I've now got that 1 of 4 done on the outpost dedications, and once I do that, I'll be able to give dragon ships to other factions, and that's going to come into the final battle, blah 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 blah. And then there's all this crap below, consulting the leaders. So when you give outposts, you'll build favor with the leader of these factions. You'll fill up these little gems here. You see I've given a few outposts to Imric, so we're on the first one. If I give him more, we'll get to the second one and the third one, and he'll offer us different buffs. So if we go to Imric and we consult the leader, this will give us whatever he's offering. In this case, a buff to dragons, which isn't helpful for us, although it does give us some character experience, or we can get an item and such for a little bit of Wonga. So yeah, it's a way of getting aid and help from other high elf factions if you should need it. Alariel, for example, offers a pretty good one where she'll instantly heal all of your armies faction-wide and improve replenishment for 5 turns. So there's some really nice buffs from this, and you'll want to take a look at this before you decide who you dedicate your outposts to, because you may want a certain buff or item. So that is Sea Lord Aislinn, all about those dragon ships, bit of a horde. He can travel around the world and just go wherever the hell he wants. I personally do enjoy those kind of factions. Unfortunately, this one's an elf faction, so I just can't enjoy it, but at least it's there for you weirdos who do enjoy elves. But here again is all the unique skills for Aislinn. I'll mouse over them, pause the video, blah blah blah. See you in a minute. Next, a former dirty horrible elf, Dechala, the Denied One. She brings some buffs to mortal units, and she can equip an extra weapon, amongst other things. So with Dechala, it's all about the pleasure palaces. Much like Aislinn's elven colonies, you can only make a handful of them. You have to acquire new points to be able to build one. Now, before we get into that, there is a mechanic here. When you come into a battle, you can corrupt units. So you won't be able to seduce them over to your side like Nakari, but you can corrupt them, giving all of these debuffs. You just select the units you want, it's going to cost you some money, and then you can knock those units down a peg. So that's pretty useful, but when you take a settlement, if it's not a major settlement, you won't be able to build a pleasure palace there, only a thrall camp or a tormentor's hold. Now, of the two, the thrall camp is more important because it provides you with thralls, and that's going to be one of your main currencies to do a lot with in this campaign. So when you occupy as thrall camp, you'll get a bunch of thralls with that settlement. In this case, as you can see here, it's 1,000. But if we look at the overall currency at the top, it's only 378. So what the hell gives? Where's my 1,000, bitch? Well, the way this works is that 1,000 on the settlement will be gradually moved over to this total at the top. So if we go over a turn, you'll see the 1,000 goes down to 970, and now my thralls at the top have gone up, because that 30's gone from there, and some more from other places as well, giving us a new total. And that is going to be the pool that you spend from. And you do have some control over this. If you want more thralls to go out faster, you can construct certain buildings to do that, or if you want to keep it slower, you have control over that transfer rate and how fast the thralls get depleted from a settlement. And like I mentioned, there's other sources where thralls can come from, like here on this cult building, so you will be building them up in various ways, but mostly through thrall camps. So if we move on ahead, take another settlement, that's going to be another 1,000 from this particular settlement. You can get more than 1,000, these ones are just smaller and have 1,000. And then that of course is going to increase the amount of thralls that you're going to get into your main thrall account every turn. You also have this little screen at the top if you want to nerd out on the numbers, but it's about managing that currency, so making sure you've got enough but not depleting them too fast. And then your other settlement option, the Tormentor's Hold, this is basically the military one. You can see it has all the military buildings, while the Thrall Camp has none at all. So it's your military and defense building. It also has this little pink line, which you know what that means. You can sally out with the garrison army, so that's always useful to be able to protect your borders. But as I said, it's really all about the pleasure palaces, so when you come into a major settlement, this is the one that you'll be able to turn into a pleasure palace, if you have the ability to build one, of course, with the points. But here you can see it's going to cost me one of these pleasure palace availability points. We can also construct it at a higher tier as well, if we've got the thralls to spend. And you notice we can get thralls from sacking and raising as well. But once you've made a pleasure palace, this is pretty much going to be your normal kind of settlement. You'll be able to build everything, all the stuff that you can't build in thrall camps and tormentor holds. And it's going to be where you're spending most of that thrall's currency. There are some buildings built with money, but most of them you have to spend the thralls. So if you want to build the fanciest sex dungeon, it's going to cost you. If you want to be able to build more pleasure palaces, then you simply have to get the existing one up to tier 3, and then you'll get another point to spend. But Zerg, what the dick and balls happens when one of my thrall camps runs out of thralls? Well, as you can see here, this one is pretty much out of juice, and it's basically just going to reduce the output of the settlement. So you can see this building here, it's only giving me 100 income, whereas when there were thralls in the settlement, you see the grayed out text, it was giving me 400. So it's only operating at 25% of its capacity, which is why you do have the option here to convert it to a Tormentor's Hold instead, if you like. You can obviously decide which one is going to ultimately give you more benefit. So here, a little bit into a campaign, you can see I've got a settlement with 2,400 thralls, so plenty of income coming from that. I've got another one here with only 200. I've got a couple of buildings that are also giving me thralls to my global pool as well. So the campaign largely revolves around gathering up those thralls and then putting them into pleasure palaces to upgrade as you like. And then we have another currency here, Decadence. This is used in the Tormentor's Tributes tab for all of these various things. You can pause and read that bit in the middle if you like, but over on the left, we've essentially got banners that we can apply to our units in our army before a battle. These can be upgraded to strengthen the effect, and you do have to purchase a limited amount of these, so you use them up. They're not just there forever. So let's say we go into a battle, you can see them all above your army here. You can see that I've got 3 of the one that I have bought. If I want to use this, I can just pull it down onto a unit, but let's say I want this one, well, we can purchase them right here on the spot and then be able to apply them to whichever unit we like. So yeah, it's just a system to give certain units some pretty nutty buffs and make your disgustingly strong army even more disgustingly strong. And then over on the right side, you've got these items. Quite simple, they're just items. You buy them with the currency, you slap them on a character, and then you get whatever the item does. So these are very strong as well. And then below that, you've got exquisite spells, which are one-time purchase things, buffs for your army in various ways. I'll mouse over them, you can read them. But yeah, the usual sort of army and unit buffing facilities here to ensure that you're thoroughly overpowered and thoroughly bored by turn 45. But how do I accrue this decadence currency, I hear you cry? Well, you pretty much just build anything in a pleasure palace. Most of the buildings there will give you it in some degree, so simple as that. And of course, the more pleasure palaces you build, the more you will acquire. If you have some spare thralls, you can use proliferate cults if you want to spread those around. And there's another little mechanic on your army as well to spend thralls on to give you buffs for a certain amount of turns. So lots of different ways to spend your thralls and to approach this campaign. There you go. Lastly, Dechala herself, as mentioned, you can see she's got 2 weapon slots, although I apparently don't have any somehow. But that's a pretty cool different thing for a character to have. Here's her skill points as well if you want to see those. Otherwise, I hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. I hope this helps you understand the campaigns a little better. If you'd like to support the channel, do consider checking out the Patreon, YouTube memberships. Otherwise, I hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the future.